Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our most exciting house party yet, where tonight we'll be discussing a Z-list clip show and the first ever celeb Big Brother finale. And it's a doozy.
It
As
is.
always, I'm Andrew Cox, joined by the guy whose draft got blown up all in one night.
Oh my God.
Duvall.
It did. I was shocked, as was everyone else.
I
thought I had it.
as I said last episode, I said she's not winning against anybody, and he was the last person I expected her to lose to. So.
Yes. I mean, man, what a reliving the whole Paul season again. It's like I was so amazed that he did not win. Ross Matthews, I thought, had it in the bag.
So, are we living in a world now where the person who plays the best comes in second?
Well, that's what I was. If this was a regular season, I don't think that she would have pulled through. It was a mixture of, I think, her speech in the long run was what saved her. She made the point that, it's because I'm such a good person and such a, an honest person. I told this person I'm going to bring them to the final two, and I'm going to hold true to my promise. And I think that's what won a lot of people over. That and the addition that there was a bitter jury.
I mean, exactly. I really think it's a case of a bitter jury, because I didn't think her speech was all that compelling, especially compared to his. But if they're already bitter, I feel like they don't really care what he's going to say. So,
well, I will say that I thought, not once did I ever think she would win, but when the jury was asking questions pre-vote, all of her answers seemed to make a better case in point for Ross to win. And that's when I was like, man, she's really digging herself into a hole. But obviously, I'm eating dirt, because that's not true at all. And she managed to pull it out somehow. I'm still trying to look back and figure out where exactly I went wrong.
I thought that she just assumed that he was going to win. Like, she was just kind of giving it to him. Like, I didn't think that she really thought that she had a chance here. But, she did. I thought at most the vote would be flipped the other way, like 6-3 for Ross. Like, at his worst, he was only going to lose maybe 3 votes. I thought that was going to probably be unanimous.
Yep, I tweeted that same thing tonight. And then, I should probably go back and delete those.
I was like, okay,
like an idiot.
I was like, okay, maybe he'll lose Shannon's vote, and maybe Meta or something. Well, who knows? But I thought 2 or 3 votes go to her at most. So I was completely surprised.
I'm still shocked.
Because when she picked him, I wasn't surprised at all, because she was so loyal to him. But I thought, she would want to do what was best for her game, and which is bringing Mark McGrath.
Mark, exactly. Mark was the one that I thought would have been just the smartest move on her part, because everyone else I could have seen like, the votes would maybe lose a little here and there. But if anyone was against Mark, it would have been nearly a unanimous vote for the other person.
Well, now I don't know. If she went up against Mark, who knows who wins that?
I don't know, man.
I feel like I don't know.
I am glad that I was right about Ross winning America's Favorite Player, because he at least deserved that. And honestly, he was entertaining to watch. He was funny. He was really everything you would want from a player. So I'm glad that he did win that one.
I think those were the exact 3 people we said. Yep. Ross,
Shannon
for the elephant, and James for the Big Time Rush fans.
It was. So I guess America agreed with us as well.
Yeah.
But before, we've already delved into the finale, but there was an episode before then that we haven't covered. Not very insightful in any way, shape, or form. but the clip show, which I was very surprised that they even had time for in this season.
Me too. I had like when they said that they were doing this weekend lineup of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was like, oh my gosh! If Saturday is a clip show of Omarosa talking about her time in the White House,
It was there.
uh, uh, and what do you know? It's a clip show. I mean, there's only like 13 episodes this season. How are you going to have an hour a big clip show?
I mean, yeah, nothing too insightful.
Why not just already happen the first part of this episode on Saturday?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know why. Because if you're going to tell me that there's going to be 5 people going into the finale, I would have thought for sure that Saturday you would have done something with one of them, cut one of them then, instead of having this random 2-person eviction at once BS.
I would have at least thought we'd see that final 5 HOH and veto.
Yes.
But we didn't get that until this episode.
It was jam-packed, this finale episode. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, and I thought that was I thought that was a waste of time. And we could have got like we could have got some kind of jury segment or something.
Yeah.
On tonight's episode in place of the HOH and veto competition that was pre-recorded.
Yeah, I know that there was no jury house, but I would have loved to have seen some sort of taped interaction. You're right. Just like them
we didn't really get anything.
No, we didn't get anything.
I mean, we got those questions at the end, but I mean, we get that every time. So I would have liked some kind of like, not even as good as a round table, but something.
Speaking of tables, there was something I wrote down on this episode tonight, was that it's a very small thing, but it kind of bothered me that they didn't do the shrunken table. You know how they always shrink the kitchen table and then they all sit around it and they're like, they think back and they're like, wow, look how far we've made it. And I'm so proud of us. And that's how they introduce all their clips. I was like, man, I kind of missed that. That was a very symbolic thing. It was a small thing, but it was very personal. And I kind of missed it.
I mean, they're not in there long enough to
that's true.
Remember the big table, I guess.
That's true. And I guess there were only 11 of them, so it was a smaller group than normal. But
so what were some stuff that you picked out from the clip show?
The clip show, I didn't get hardly anything from that clip show. The only thing that I really got was that it was verified what I thought about Brandy being a functioning alcoholic, and they spent a lot of time on that, and also Marissa being like quite a talker, like she talks like a lot, like.
That was something that I'd heard from the live feed, the feeders, that it was like becoming unbearable. It's just like she never stops talking.
I didn't catch it until they pointed out like that, but then watching this finale episode, I was like, Jesus, now I definitely hear it.
Which, I don't know, I feel like this season, I probably would have enjoyed it more if I had been watching the live feeds.
Would you though? Because nothing really entertaining. Like there was no memorable fight that I'm gonna look back on and be like, oh, remember when they duked it out?
No, but I mean, they end up showing those kind of fights on TV anyway. Like, I was watching the feeds last season, and I mean,
what a season!
A terrible season in general, but at least, I mean, occasionally there was like good feeds, especially early on. But I don't know. I feel like maybe the season was a little more enjoyable from a live feed perspective.
Much more enjoyable than this clip show. And that's really all I have about that episode. That was an hour wasted of my life that I won't get back. But I think the finale made up for it.
I knew immediately, oh, here we go. Clip show. Because I watched it after it had aired. So on the CBS website, they were like, they talk about Omarosa's White House experience, and we start the HOH competition. So I was like, oh, it's a clip show. Awesome.
Yes, fantastic. If that is your headline for the episode, is Omarosa talking even more about the thing that we have already run into the ground of the season, you know it's going to be a rehash clip show.
Yep.
But we turn on our TVs tonight, and Ross wins HOH. And I think Mark made a grave mistake.
Really?
He could have, if he would have held on, he could have still promised Ross, you're safe. The same pact that he gave Mark, you could say, you're not going anywhere, you're safe. Or just waited Ross out, because I think Omarosa did have a point that Mark did seem a little more stable than Ross. And
yeah, I thought he was going to win.
And I think he could have, because as he said, he kind of threw it to him so he could get a letter from his mom, which they were going to be out of the house in a day or two anyway. So it's like, well, he's going to see her very shortly. So why don't you just do what's best for your game? But he was too nice, and that's where, that was the cause of his fall.
Yeah, but I feel like either way, the result was the same. I think everybody, Omarosa, I think that's the result of that HOH is her leaving. And I think at that point, with the two of them up there, I think Mark knew that. And so even though I was angry at him for, throwing that, I don't think he really necessarily needed to win it, or that it would really make a difference, because he was loyal to Ross. So
yeah,
Ross at any point should have been the biggest target for anybody.
Right.
Which I guess that's not true, because he lost, but every time Omarosa said that she had got the biggest target out in James, I was like, are you kidding me? Ross is a much bigger target than James, but.
Well, I knew that Omarosa was going home whenever she fell off, or she didn't play. And
yeah, she didn't play, and then she just totally admitted to
yeah,
essentially not trying on that veto.
Yeah, and
because she was like, oh, I just hung him up as soon as possible and hopped down. It was like, well, that wasn't the goal of the competition. You were trying to get him right.
She had one right, and I remember as they were showing the scores, I was like praying, I was hoping, I was like, all right, maybe she can pull this through. This will make for great TV. And then she really let me down to the point where I just kind of I let out just the loudest groan.
That was embarrassing.
One? Really? The one?
Put up a fight.
They're getting 8s and 6s, and we're just gonna throw up a 1. She clearly did not try. It wasn't fastest time. It was the most correct within a faster time.
Yeah, the key,
you have to.
The more important thing is getting
do
them
step
right.
1 before you move on to step 2.
So were you upset that she left? In terms of, were you more upset from your draft, or were you really rooting for Omarosa at this point? Did you want her to win on a personal level, or did you think it was good TV?
Do you remember when we started this podcast, I said that she would make it to the middle? I'd say she'd make it to 5th or 6th. And she did. She made it to 5th, so she met my expectations. I knew she wouldn't have won had she have made it to the final 2 anyway. So, I think she left when she needed to. She lasted. I think she did great for who she was as a person and as a player.
She basically came in 4th.
Well, yeah.
Because they had 2 people left at the exact same time.
No, she was still 5th.
Well, Maritza wins. Ross comes in 2nd. And then Ari and McGrath tie for, that none of them, they both equal,
I guess technically. You wouldn't say that.
So she made it to finale, so she did good.
She did. I was proud of her for doing that. And at least she made it to the finale, so we got a whole season worth of her. Because I would have been,
Yeah, they got their money's
you know,
worth. They kept her in
this is
there.
the same girl who was nominated week after week, so she did last long. She was put up a fight, so I'm happy for her. But I will say that I took notes that the website veto that she did so poorly at, that looked fun to me. I would have loved to have been a part of that. But I feel like that would have been really easy to do just because they've only been in that house for, what is today, the 25th? All right, so they started the 7th. I mean, they weren't in there for hardly at all. So you could have easily, I would have thought, put the days together.
Exactly. I didn't think they were that hard, and I mean that's what's so sad. Like one, I mean, you were in there for like I don't know what 26 days or something like that. Is normally I mean, towards the end on a regular season, they're like 80, 90
Right.
days.
So you have more to pick from.
That you have to figure out. It's like, oh, who did this on day
And
30? And
even
that's the end of this season. So it's like,
even the events that you were trying to match up were like pretty large events of the season. So it was like you could, in chronological order, kind of fit the pieces together. It wasn't like small things like, when did Omarosa throw a football? Like, just weird random shit. Like there were actual big plot points within the season that you had to match up. So I felt that it made it even easier. So I was even more shocked that she only got a 1.
yeah. And then I had a similar thought with the final HOH. Not to skip ahead too much, but where they're
I hated that.
doing that. Okay, I hate the hashtag thing was weird, but the um they seemed like fairly easy questions to figure out what was, there's not that many things that, like you said, like that even happened within the 25 days, and they're mostly major things. So it's bound to end up in this 3-way tie that happens. And then the final HOH goes to this crapshoot,
Exactly.
guessing the numbers thing where everyone's within 500 seconds of each other, and it goes to Marissa. So
That's
I don't know. I thought the questions could have been a little harder.
That's one thing though. Whenever there's that math question, the tie breaking math question, I always look at the facial expressions and the amount of writing that is done by the person, because Omarosa won the previous tie break, and she and Marissa had both the same reaction of actually doing the math problem on the board while.
Well, yeah, because she was going against James, and he was just like, "Oh my god, I haven't done math in years."
Yeah, well, even so now, I mean, Ross didn't do anything. He just kind of threw up a number, and Mark didn't even try.
I thought he just wrote 1, hoping people would go over, but no, because it looked like he wrote, he made a single stroke on his board, but unfortunately, he didn't do that. He would have won.
Okay, so this was an HOH, correct?
Yeah, that was the final one. Yeah.
So the previous
HOH.
competition that Ross won was also an HOH, correct?
Yeah.
So why was he allowed to play in this?
Because it's working like the final HOH.
See.
Where everyone gets to play.
I don't think that was.
As if it was final 3.
I guess.
But really, it's final 4.
Yeah.
Because, they're having 2 people evicted at once. So it's basically they're just skipping a week entirely.
Okay, I guess.
I'm just saying, hey, you
that does make sense.
Guys, so you're all.
Because it threw me off, and I was like, well, I guess in reality he shouldn't be playing, but if it's finals, I guess everyone deserves the fair shot. But I was glad that he didn't win that, because that, I mean, man, I just would have felt like, let's give someone a chance. Like, at least this made for good TV, because there was that moment where once I was like, oh my God, Marissa won. And then I was like, well, now I'm interested to see who she chooses because I was, if she was smart, I would have thought that she would have chosen someone else because I really thought that she was going to lose to Ross, but apparently she thought otherwise and she was right to do so.
I don't think she. There's no way she thought otherwise. But when because she was ahead by a whole point for most of that game, and then she missed that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we have a three-way tie. Here we go. Mark McGrath is going to win final HOH. Oh man, then she won. I was like, oh my gosh, what? She's gonna pick Ross, of course. And then, but I was hoping that she would just be like, Ross, you know this game better than anyone. You know what I have to do. I'm sorry, I have to evict you and Ari. And no, but she still won. So by some miracle of God, I don't understand. But hey, she was on my
Yeah.
draft, so I'm
So
not.
yeah, congratulations. You did win. There was the beginning of the season, it was like one after the other. I kept losing my people. And then I had like a strong two with Omarosa and Ross. And I thought, okay, maybe I can pull this through. And then my dreams get squashed tonight. So congratulations, you won. I'll get you next season.
I came into this episode thinking there was basically no way that you weren't gonna win because, like, I had a good feeling Omarosa was going to get out, and then I was like, I feel like everybody else is going to take Ross, so which is stupid, but I think they're going to do it if Ross doesn't take
You know what,
himself. So,
though?
and then he'll
Ross was
win.
smart. He had final twos with the majority of the house. I mean, the only person he didn't have any sort of deal with was Omarosa. So once she was out, I mean, he was guaranteed to go.
Yeah, I don't. Which, yeah, I mean, but I don't know why. I mean, I guess now we know that it wasn't a guarantee that he wins. I mean, but so seeing how the jury voted for Ross versus Marissa, do you think that? I mean, do you think he wins in any
I
situation?
think he would have won against Mark still, but it did make me question if Ariana would have, because Marissa and Ariana played the same game. If not, Ariana played it better than Marissa.
Oh, she
So I
definitely did.
think maybe Ariana maybe would have, but against Mark, not a chance. Ross would have taken that one home. Mm-hmm.
Really.
I mean, tell me one thing that Mark McGrath did.
I think he played a good game. I was and so who okay, so who voted for Ross?
Oh man, I was too involved. I did not write that down, and I really should have.
It was
It was Meta, which I don't.
Meta
He
voted for
did.
Ross?
I'm almost certain.
Okay, here we go. Ross, Meta, Mark, and Brandy.
Yes.
So
No. Yes. 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 That's right. You are correct.
yeah, I don't know. I don't Mark and Ross. I don't know. Maybe he probably would be Mark, but I don't know. I feel like, Mark would get Omarosa and James and Shannon
Because
and
those are the
Chuck.
bitter. Chuck was. I was surprised that Chuck did vote. I mean, I guess he had a 50-50 shot. I would have been surprised whoever he chose because he just wasn't there long enough.
I mean, he wasn't there. Yeah.
But one thing that I did write down. Did you notice that when the the jury came out, there must have been a flash on the screen that was facing them that we as viewers didn't see. But Brandy's jaw dropped and she pointed and she said, "Oh my God!" And then when Julie was asking, "Who do you think is in the final two?" Meta opens his mouth and says, "Well, we just saw them; they're right there." So I think there was a technical difficulty in someone.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
So they knew, but I think Shannon and James both kind of played along, and they're like, "Well, I would like to see." Yeah. But I think because when the remaining three jury members came out, I was watching their faces, and no one was really shocked. There was no genuine, "Wow, I can't believe it's you." And so I think someone kind of messed up behind the scenes there.
Huh. No, I missed that. So
Go back and watch that, because Meta was
it's
a
pretty cool.
loudmouth about it. Because at first I was like trying to figure out what Brandy was doing, and then Meta solidified what I thought it was.
Hmm.
But right after that, when they did go into their questions, Brandy asked Marissa, "What do you regret most in this game?" And then Marissa didn't answer that question. She was like, I've just, I just love Ross, and that's why I picked him." And I was like, well, that's nice, but that's also not the answer to the question. So
Right. That's how I felt about most of her questions, was that she was
she
just
talked
kind
about
of,
Ross in every question.
and she kept saying like, "Oh, I just didn't expect to be here, you know, so I didn't really prepare anything. So I don't. This is so unexpected." It's like, okay, hold on. Okay, you know that only four people are gonna be there at the end, and I don't know. You have a pretty good shot of being there, especially with Ross, who seems like he was gonna take you. So I don't know why you wouldn't prepare at all. But no, she was just kind of having non-answers for most of the questions.
Going into the votes, though, as the votes were taking place, I physically knew at least three of the votes that were made before Julie revealed them. Do you know what? Do you know what I'm
Like
talking about?
did you like you knew, or you like saw what
One of
the
them I
key
physically
was?
saw the key, because James tried to be funny, and there was an overhead camera above him. He's like, "Oh, wait, let me make sure that I chose the right one." So he opens up his pouch at the same time that the overhead camera cuts to it, and it shoots right into the bag, and it shows Melissa's key, meaning that Ross's key was inside. Then Omarosa said, "I'm voting for the person who didn't target me." Well, obviously she meant Ross, so she voted for Melissa. And then
Yeah, I figured
Shannon,
that one.
um, flat out said, um, pretty pretty much the same thing. I don't remember verbatim what she said, but it was enough to be like, well, I know who she's voting for. So I already knew those three votes, and so that's when I was starting to think, oh no, Melissa might actually have this, because Meta scared me. Meta was the person that scared me when he said, "I'm going to close my eyes and pick someone." And at that same moment, they cut to the camera that was not front facing and it was behind him. So I don't know if he did or not, but that made me think, I mean, his vote could have been a make or break for one of these two people. And I kind of felt scared for them.
Yeah, I mean, I went into that thinking for sure it was Ross, but then like you said, I knew Omarosa, that was not for him. I knew Shannon, that was not for him. I didn't see the thing with James Key, but yeah, I don't know.
And then, Julie kept telling them all to be quiet because they were talking during voting, trying to sway votes back and forth. So, there was a lot that was that whole voting of this season was kind of just a wild, wild event. It didn't seem like anyone was together um, during that, because even the people behind the scenes seemed to be punching in the wrong number. So it was up in the air.
I mean, aside from Brandy, Marissa, she got the women's votes, so maybe that early women's pack helped her seal the deal here.
And I think Ross just rubbed a few people the wrong way. I think that was what did it. And I might be looking too much into this, but Chuck, he was the first vote, and he kept saying, it made me wonder. I think it's probably nothing, but he said, "I voted for the person who played the straightest game." And I was like, well, that's kind of a weird way to say that, especially since you have a flamboyant gay man in the final two. But then he said it again, and then he said it a third time. And so I was like, I'm interested to see who he votes for. And sure enough, he voted against the openly gay man. So I thought, okay, maybe. So I didn't know if that was anything, but that's a fun note to look at.
Could have been. I thought that for a second he was just going to put the key in and sit back down, and I was like, "Oh man, they're not even going to say anything." But he ended up.
He was kind of thrown off about it, so I don't know if he was prepared.
That's why I think he kind of might have not been prepared, so he just kept kind of repeating himself.
He didn't really have a reason, and honestly, he didn't have a need to have a reason for one because he wasn't there for that long. So, not to say that his vote doesn't count, but in a way, for me, it really didn't. Because it's one thing to watch the tapes that they give him to watch and to physically be inside the house.
Right.
So his was a toss up.
Yeah, I mean, because he's been out since, I don't know.
It was day 2 or 3.
It was early. I mean, season wasn't that long, but it was early.
But all in all, I mean, great season. I still think it was a good season.
Yeah, so I was gonna say. So, how you feeling about the season as a whole?
The season as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed. I am almost positive that there will be a season 2. I can feel it in my gut. If anything, I could see it replacing OTT. Just because now that it's made a name for itself, that now it has a better chance of being put on all access for more people to subscribe. I wouldn't necessarily subscribe for OTT, but if they did a Celeb season 2, they'd have my money for sure.
Do you think that they would do this in the fall?
I think this would be a great winter thing. No, I would continue to do winter. The fall, I don't know if they would want to do year long Big Brother because I don't want people to get fatigued on it because that's kind of like for me, it's like that's what I look forward to in the summer. Like that's like a summer event. And so it's nice to kind of get a little taste. Like we got a month of Big Brother just like randomly in the winter. Like that's fine. But I think if they do it in the fall, that might be just a little too much. And that might I mean, it's a big time commitment.
It is. I mean, I enjoyed the season, but I do think there could be some revisions next time around. I think it needs to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Or at least have the episodes longer.
I don't know. Yeah. I could agree with that. Or, just have more important things in the edit. But also they just need to, I don't know, somehow clamp down on the quitting because that just really, for me, just crushed a lot of the momentum.
I think that's
on this season
more of just a casting issue in general. They just need to vet harder. I mean, I guess there's not really a way for you to know beforehand, but maybe get some more strong-willed people. Because
yeah, but I'm not going to be surprised at all if it comes back for a second season. I mean, it did good ratings, so I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Who they'll have on there, anybody's guess.
Who knows? Because I wouldn't have guessed any of these people.
You wouldn't have guessed a single one.
Not at all.
I want Julie Chen in there. I want to see her play.
Because then what if she either she would be first evicted or more likely she would just be handed the game as if she were like Paul. She'd just kind of be like, oh, do you want me to throw it, Julie? Okay, here you go. And it would be just an awful season because she would have things handed to her.
Les Moonves, he's gonna be pulling the strings.
Yeah, he already is. Just imagine if his wife was there. Not that couple needs the money.
Yeah, it's bad enough with Omarosa.
But, we can talk more and more about this season in depth on our next episode. We're going to have an after party podcast featuring Judd from season 15, and he binged watched the season for us. So he's going to come back and he's going to talk it out with us and tell us what he thinks exactly he thought of this celebrity season.
Yes. And also, we recorded a special bonus episode with Judd prior to tonight's finale that we'll post also. That was more of an interview, but we think you guys will really enjoy it.
Exciting things are coming. So be on the lookout for those 2 editions, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right.